Welcome to the Crimeycade podcast. And I got just this one, a little too high. Hope my audio is good. Yep. All right. Welcome on in. It's been, the last podcast was quite some time ago. I did not do a pod on last Thursday, but I'll get to that in a second. Well, last week, and I didn't do pod Thursday, but I did do a pod Monday with Nightmare James Sorey, who is in the chat tonight. I did a Monday pod on the 9th to in the aftermath of the Micah Rossi interview, and kind of learned a few things about Powerfest, some rivalries that are still going on even 30 years later. And it may come to a head in just about 1 month's time, as he is heading to the Game On Expo to participate in the Retro Gaming Championships. And I kind of missed this little tidbit. The screenshot on Dragon Quest Monsters, the party says, "Just bring it." Yeah, which I kind of missed that little detail there. Anyway, so we'll see how this goes. It looks like he is going to be heading down there and going to be taking a few games with him in this Retro Gaming Challenge. And the hunt is on. Gamers are wanted. Do you work in gaming? Are you a touring competitor? Do you create content? Do you have some notoriety? Or you're just a gaming fanatic? I want to talk to you. And, the first 2 months of the year, I scheduled the first 2 months of the year. And then recently, I just kind of hit a wall again. Because up until today, I didn't have anybody scheduled for March yet. And it's like, what am I going to do? I guess I got to cast that wider net. But maybe the dam is starting to break. So we'll see. I'd like to get, before this month ends, I'd like to get all of the month of March scheduled. So kind of have that cushion to not be hunting people in a panic like I've had to do towards the end of last year. So I didn't mention why I didn't do a podcast last week, but follow me on Facebook and Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, follow me on Facebook /Crimeycade, or if you're watching me on Facebook, follow my Twitch channel, rap_sheet. bit.ly /Crimeycade also works. And you can check out the past episodes of the Crimeycade podcast on my YouTube channel, which also has a bunch of old wrestling content from my prior show on tiny.cc /PWCI. So why didn't I do a podcast last week, or at least last Thursday? Now, this little girl on the very left had to go to the vet and get all 4 of her canine teeth removed, as her teeth, the canines deteriorated in the gum line and jaw, so they had to come out. However, she's had to figure out how to eat without them, and she's still got stitches in her mouth, unfortunately. So we'll have to see. And the other problem is she's got to take medication because she's got a thyroid condition, and she's only had it once this week, and she's resistant. Makes it a challenge. Anyway, and it looks like I have somebody asking to be a guest. I'm going to have to talk to this gentleman a bit later. And I have to post this little graphic, or at least make some sort of Beezer comment every week until it reaches the Gap and Ghost arcade floor because, this is the new Doc Mac roasted me over this game, and I guess we're going to talk about. I'm going to mention it once a week until it finally makes its way to the arcade floor. Problem is, there's not a whole lot of new content on this that I can use to kind of keep the joke going, but we'll see what happens. If you've heard the news earlier this week, the man who gave us all of the Sega game consoles, that is the SG-1000, the Sega Master System, the Sega Genesis, the Saturn, Dreamcast. Heidi Sato has passed away. I'm not gonna. The age of, I guess it's 76. Yeah, 76 years old. Yes, so anybody who plays Sega games, you owe it to this man, because he is the man responsible for bringing the Sega arcades experience home. And you probably heard about this. Logan Paul, current WWE superstar, also embroiled in his own legal controversies, bought I guess, one of 10 Pokemon card print. That's Pikachu Illustrator. He bought it for $3 million, and he just sold it at auction for $16.4 million. Yeah. A 10 out of 10 graded card, and I don't think I never got into Pokemon. I'm more of a Digimon fan, but I guess congratulations on earning $12-13 million reselling a Pokemon card. Yeah, rare. Anyway. All right. Let me get to this before I continue. Arcade Wars is still in progress. Gub and Ghost Arcade is leading the pack as of today. You have anybody participating in the Arcade Wars. If you got an arcade, submit scores. This is being run by a One-Up Arcade in Australia. Right now, Gab and Ghost Arcade is in the lead. Now, it's been all about the challenge cards lately, but Doc Beck hasn't really cared about all that much. But won last month. It looks like we're going to win again this month, unless Underground or One-Up puts up some monster scores. So, anyway, all right. My guest at this time, he is one of the legendary arcade designers, and created or helped create the character that kind of a video gaming icon, like Pac-Man, Sonic, Donkey Kong, Mario. But this character has carved its own little niche, and yes, the creator of the character, named QBert. Joining me at this time is Jeffery, and he's got a squeal going on.
A squeal?
Yeah, I'm hearing a high-pitched squeal.
Oh,
I don't think your mic is right. Let me turn you off for a second. All right, let me take him down for a moment. Well, there's something wrong with this microphone. Maybe there was a high-pitched noise. Well, of course it sounds good now because I took him down. It's on Jeff's end. Let me put him back in here. You still got that high-pitched squeal. Go ahead and talk. Let me see what I can do about his echo cancellation. There we go. Test 1, 2, 3. Oh, his turned off his mic. Yeah, there's. All right, Jeff is going to come back while he's trying to get his microphone adjusted because there's something I'm hearing, some sort of. I'm guessing it's some sort of feedback. But anyway, new house highs and world records. Not a lot of activity on that front this past weekend, and that's because I couldn't go to Galloping Ghost Arcade during the 3-day holiday weekend to chase scores and take some of my ground back. He's going to try another headset, Jeff says. So let's, while Jeff is getting the microphones fixed here, Andrew Wasco has increased the world record on Big Karnak, not to a 1cc yet. I'm also practicing the game when I can, because I want to take that score back myself. I had it. 268,000 points on that one. Achieved on Lincoln's birthday. And JP Pitts has raised the house high another small increment on Paris Stone 2 at 364. He is still smarting after the Super Bowl and the Patriots losing. And the High Score Arcade, which is in Colorado, Christian Mattel has set a new world record on Dolphin Blue. 537,000 on that game. And congrats to Christian. And the chase for, well, the power rankings for mid-February, halfway through the 17th season of Galloping Ghost Arcade. And chase is on. Yeah, I'm in 11th place now. 11th place now, and I need to gain ground. The problem is I got to deal with the cat drama. And the chase for tokens continues. Andrew Wasco and continues to add, but Mossy's gets over the 8,200 mark. And chase for tokens goes on. Jeff Lee is still working on his microphone, so I'm going to step out for a moment. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to have a chat with him offline and see if I can figure out what's going on. So please stand by. Don't go anywhere. We shall be right back. And let me get one of these be right back graphics going. Which one is it? I think it's I think this should be it. Nope. What's going on? We'll use the smartphone you can. It'll work. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. See if we got this going now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
It's good.
It's good? Okay.
Yes, no squeal, no background, no
Different
feedback. Technology is a fickle thing, you know.
Well, I've got three different mics here, actually. I got something going into an audio box. I jam with my buddies, and that's the most reliable one. But anyway, here we are. Well, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here tonight.
Yep. Well, I kind of had to look. I looked at some past interviews you did, and kind of wanted to cover the road less traveled with your gaming history, because everybody knows about QBert.
Yeah,
that story's been told a lot, but there's a lot of gaming lore that you were involved in that may have been lost to time. So I kind of wrote down a list of all the games, or at least the arcade games that I believe you're associated with.
Okay. All right. We'll see if we can jog my memory.
All right. So we'll go to the very beginning. What was your hook into gaming?
Well,
what got you interested in gaming?
I mean, I always played games as a child.
Yeah.
So we go way back with that. My grandparents played a lot of cards, and as a kid growing up in the 50s and 60s, I played classic board games. Milton Bradley games, Clue, Monopoly, checkers, chess. And so that was kind of the start of it. Then I got into war games, Avalon Hill type games of strategy, Risk. But then in the mid 70s, I started playing war games a lot more. Kingmaker, Diplomacy, Dungeons and Dragons, that sort of thing. And I started playing video games because they were making appearances in the bars at that time when I was a young single man. And so I played a lot of Asteroids and Centipede and so on. So I have a friend, Richard Tracy, who I knew through mutual friends, and we used to play music together. He was an excellent piano player and organ player. I played guitar and mandolin. And he started working at Gottlieb when it was pretty much just a pinball company. And they were planning a video division, and he knew I was into games, and he gave me a call, see if I'd be interested in doing the pixel art for the game. So that's how I got into that field.
Do you remember which video game you touched first? Because mine was Space Invaders. I
can't say specifically. Like I say, I played a lot of Asteroids. Used to hang out at a bar called Glasgott's Groggery. It was down in Lincoln Park. and there was an asteroids machine in there. So we used to be drinking stout, lining up the quarters on the machine. At the time, I was working at Triton College, which is in River Grove, Illinois, and there was a golf driving range across the street off Fifth Avenue. And there was a little clubhouse there, and I used to go in there and play some games. And the one I remember most was Armor Attack by Tim Skelly. Of course, I had no idea who Tim Skelly was at that time, but here it was. But like within a year or so, I was working in the same building with them. So that's an early memory of a game I did play.
They have Armor Attack at Goblin Ghost Arcade, but it hasn't been working for the last few years. They have not been able to get that game back up and running. I don't know.
Oh, that's
those
unfortunate.
Darn vectors, those darn vector games.
Yeah, I sure would like to play that again.
Well, the house high is very low, and I've seen these marathon runs where they're like almost like it's like self-playing. They run up a few hundred lives and then walk away from the machine and let it self-play for about a few hours, and then go back on it and resume. So,
well, I guess that's a legitimate tactic, huh?
I guess. Did you ever play pinball before you played any video games?
Oh, sure. I was not a big pinball player, but I certainly played pinball, a little bit during the college years. And we used to go to a resort up in northern Wisconsin, and they had a pinball game in there. I don't remember which one. And they also had like shuffleboard and stuff. So when I was a kid, I used to do that. The games were like a nickel or whatever.
Right.
Back at that time.
Oh, I thought you had more on that one.
Yeah. And the other one I remember was some of those bowling games, that with the plastic pins that would.
Oh, yeah. Shuffle bowling.
Yeah, right. So that was always great fun.
And skee balls out there too.
Mm-hmm.
So before you got into game design, what did you do before you got into that?
Well, I was working at this community college. I headed up a small graphics department, and we produced whatever graphics the faculty or the staff would need, either for classroom or presentations, what have you. So there was a number of some students worked there for me. Others were professional artists. We had a dark room back in the days of actual pre-digital photography.
Yeah,
I was actually hired to run the dark room, even though I had no experience or knowledge of the matter. But the guy showed me the ropes, and I started out there. And then the boss of that department had quit. So my boss, or his boss, took the lazy way out. He just hired me to take over. So that was sweet. It was a nice little gig, and had all these tools, art tools at my disposal, and a dark room. And we used to, duplicate slides and produce photostats and so on. And prior to that, I had been freelancing as an artist, doing illustrations, commercial kind of stuff, or illustrations for the Chicago Tribune. I worked also freelance for a guy who did all sorts of industrial type production. So that included, as well as like building sets and technical illustrations, doing some cell animation. So all that was very useful later in my career. And a good buddy of mine, a guy named Mike Glascott, had worked at an animation house, and occasionally They would need extra hands there to produce animations. It would, with the old classic cameras, with the single cell shots and all that. And for the record, my buddy Glasscott, we brought him in as a freelancer to do the cabinet art for Juno 1st. Years later. So if you've ever played that game, they have one of the Ghost, beautiful cabinet design that Mike had done.
Yep. So, did you ever learn how to write computer code, or you just did the graphics?
I took a look at that. I don't have the intellectual capacity for that.
So what tools did you use to create the graphics? I mean, yeah, there's drawing paper, paint, markers, but getting them from the page to the screen, what did you have to do?
Okay, so at Gottlieb, they had written some proprietary software, some real rudimentary means of making sprites. Okay. And the first game we worked on was a game called Caveman. And here I got a picture here. Book I produced, Caveman. I did the art that there's a monitor. It's kind of out of focus here. Anyway, believe me or not, there's a little monitor up there, and I did the Caveman stuff. I had 4 colors to work with, and I worked things out on grid paper. There's like some.
There we go.
Ordinary grid paper, divided into 8x8 squares, and then I would flip the pages. I tried to reproduce that in this book here on a light table so I could see the motion. And then the stuff was put into a little utility they had written for the Apple II. And it was burned then onto an EEPROM, an erasable programmable read-only memory chip. And if we didn't like it needed to be changed, it started over again and burn new EEPROMs. Anyway, it was just part of the way it went, but it was pretty awesome because it was a brand new thing, there you go. Much better shot.
There's not too many video pinball hybrid games. I have a cat trying to pull on my cord.
Okay, there's some Pac-Man game, Pac-Man Junior or something like that.
Baby Pac-Man.
Or Baby Pac-Man, yeah.
Granny and the Gators, and then there's one other, which doesn't come to mind right now.
So originally, they were going to do an overlay.
I see it.
And that was one I drew on acetate using my experience from the cell animation. And then another one, they had a shield that fit over it. So these are like just one-of-a-kind prototypes. Didn't use them. They ended up just using the video graphics, which was fine. That worked out pretty well for what it was. And that was kind of the tools for the first few games, for QBert. That stuff was originally done on paper and burnt. Well, maybe not so much with QBert, but you had Tom Malinowski on some few episodes ago. And so like the second or third game I worked on was his superhero game, Protector. But that was also done hand-drawn sprites and then transferring that information into the Apple II and then burning them onto EEPROMs. In that instance, though, I had a lot more colors. By that time, I had 16 colors. And
hold on. Should have muted that before I pulled it up here.
There you go. And probably one of the most fun things was doing the background sprites, which were little 8x8 sprites, and I had to stretch them out because they could be reused. It was like building a puzzle.
Yeah.
And the colors can be changed on them depending on the screen. And there was a limited amount available at that time. I think later, like Sam Russo figured out how to pack a lot more sprites into the existing hardware. How? I don't know, because like I say, I'm not a technical guy. I'm not a hardware guy or software guy. I just did the graphics and contributed some ideas here and there. So, yeah. But I had some other duties then because games were going out on test. So,
right.
I would have a cabinet, for instance, and I would make stencils and take it out to the loading dock, spray paint designs on that. And often we would make a prototype marquee that was a Codolith. Codolith is like it's like an animation cell, but it's printed. It's photographically produced, black on clear, and then using markers typically over tracing paper, I would add colors, and then they would be sandwiched into some between plexiglass. So those are the main tools. We also at one point used Polaroids. And recently at the Galloping Ghost, they featured Curveball, a baseball game that was late in the company's history. And I shot a lot of Polaroids. Sam Russo, guy who programmed Three Stooges, and worked on some of their games there. He was my model. He modeled for all the positions, the pitcher, the batters, the base runners, the umpires. That was all Sam. Have you tried this game out?
I was there when this game was unveiled.
Oh, that's right.
I played against Damien. Yes, I played against Damien Cordova. We didn't understand mechanics because we thought, the game would switch sides, but we had to switch sides ourselves on the cabinet. So I was playing the two buttons on the right, which control the, I guess, the pitching or the batting and running, and it's like, why is it that I'm wiping the floor with Damien Cordova? And it's like we did not know how to play it correctly.
Okay.
So, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but
all right. Well, we can return to this later then.
Okay. I'm just kind of letting you guide me, though.
Okay. All right. I was just talking about the different tools and media we used.
Okay. Yeah. We'll keep going on that track. Where were we before Curveball? So we had Argus. Use the tools to create Argus, then Curveball. From there, I do have a question in the chat. Maybe you can help this gentleman out.
Okay.
He's been trying to learn how to draw for a year, but still stuck. What would you tell a person trying to improve as an artist who has coding background?
Wait a minute. Is the question in the chat?
Yeah, it's on screen.
It's on the screen. I'm not seeing that. Why am I not seeing the question?
You see me, correct?
Oh, okay. Right. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong part of the screen.
Yeah. Okay. Look at the StreamYard window.
Okay. I'm someone who has a coding background.
Yes.
Well, take some art lessons. That's what I would say. Take some life drawing questions or classes, some basic graphics courses, at your community college or whatever. And it's like anything, you just need to practice and practice and practice and keep at it. A lot of learning to be an artist is copying, right? So I'm kind of a pack rat, and as my wife will attest, and I have drawings that I did as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the drawings that pop out of my mind that I still have are copies I made of like knights in armor.
Mm-hmm.
Out of books at my local library. As a kid, I would stop there after school, and then I would just copy these drawings in pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just always drawing. I was always doodling. And that's what it takes. It takes lots of practice, like anything else. And I mean, if you have a coding background, I'm not sure you really need the art skills, because there's a lot of artists out there that can do the job for you. These games can't exist without people writing the code. So I think maybe that's
that.
That's the more important thing, I think.
The news, I was seeing news this week. AI has gotten, we're going into Terminator Skynet territory here. This week I was seeing articles about AI being able to generate an entire game besides the graphics. It's like, and generating entire movies for that matter.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's going to come to that if it's not there already.
It's knocking on the door. It's already here. It's just, I think there's a lot of people trying to keep it from taking over. And then I saw a Microsoft executive put out a comment saying that most white collar jobs was going to be replaced by AI in 18 months. That's scary too.
Yeah. Well, my kids are both in white collar jobs, so they got to maybe feel that breathing on their neck. Well, still, okay, so this AI can create games, but you still need people with ideas to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So if you have a fresh idea or some creative insight, doing a variation on a theme,
mm-hmm.
There's still hope for you. But who's going to be playing the games? Will AI be playing the games then? And
no, the AI is not going to be playing the games, but in theory,
yeah.
And James says, I use AI for my bad social skills. Well, understandable.
Okay.
I do use Google Gemini to create parts, or at least some parts of one designing a poster for something. Like I have it generate a logo for whatever I'm doing that particular month.
Oh yeah.
But I have to run it through multiple times.
Well, right, to get exactly what you want. It's a great tool. How is it different from other tools? It's
right.
Easier, maybe. I think. Well, I don't know. It seems I've heard that there's a issue of what can be copyrighted if something is produced by AI. Is it true?
Yeah, that's another issue.
You can't copyright it, so that may be a good thing. Actually.
Yeah, there's also the likeness issue business, because these Hollywood actors may not be liking their likeness being used during these videos.
Well, right. Yeah, that's just theft. So,
if they're making a profit. Now there's a fair use thing, but there's fair use laws out there. But if you're trying to make money off of it, yeah, it would be theft at that point.
Yeah. So, as per the question, yeah, like I say, to reiterate, yeah, just practice, and develop a unique style. I think if you go to a graphics generator, you're going to have to say what style you want it in, right?
Yes.
I think maybe the default is a hyper realistic style, but say you don't want that. Okay,
Yeah.
so how are you going to put it? How are you going to say? Are you going to do this in the style of James Ensor or Albrecht Dürer? At that point, those guys are getting ripped off.
Right.
Of course, they're long dead, but I guess that makes them fair game. But yeah, you need to. An artist needs to have a signature style.
Right.
We associate that with music, right? Musicians work in genres; they have a certain sound. Can AI do something absolutely original? I don't know. I'm not sure how they could, because they draw in from existing sources, right?
Correct. It basically has to be trained.
Yeah. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about tonight.
No. Although it is going to be a bigger issue in the gaming scene as time goes along. So your perspective on that was kind of does contribute to the conversation, because it's going to be a bigger deal as time goes on.
Right.
And you're kind of one of the early graphics designers in the gaming scene. So yeah, your perspective was probably needed to come out sooner or later.
Right. I mean, myself, like as an artist, like just about every artist, we're influenced by other artists came before us. So like I said, talked about copying stuff. That's where you start copying things. And you have influences, right? In my case, Mad Magazine and the artists that work there, the comic books, in my case, mostly DC comics, Superman, Batman, that kind of stuff, or Walt Disney's comics and stories, things of that nature. And then the great classic artists that I admired, and all those kind of shaped what I do. And I really technically probably can't touch those people in terms of what I produce. Right. So I can do, if I'm doodling, okay, I'm just making up stuff, drawing what I see. It's probably influenced by some degree by those artists, and then just whatever comes natural and easy for me as a result of practice.
All right, let's get into the games. Kind of touched on it a little bit already. So Caveman was your first?
Yes.
Okay. So what came after that? Was it QBert?
No.
What was the next one?
My recollection is that it's Tom's superhero game.
Argus.
So-called Argus, right? It had like 4 different names.
Yes,
and
it did.
Never really released, or never went into production. So, but there was also another game. It was a quiz game called Quizimodo.
Yes.
And they made 2 of them. It was a trivia game. It was housed in I think an Apple II. And I'm not sure, it might have been in some sort of case then to make it not just look like some computer at the time. And it was supposed to sit on a bar. They made 2, went on test. It was black and white. I remember that. Sam Russo programmed it. I'm not sure where they got the questions and answers for it.
Yeah,
It
I'm
had
looking for
some
video and I
very
can't find it.
limited animation.
Mm-hmm.
Quasimodo was, of course, a play on words of Quasimodo, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So
Yeah.
I have a few printouts somewhere of the Hunchback ringing the bell, and I think that was the extent of the animation. Well, yes, that was probably the extent of the animation. I also have original drawings somewhere of gargoyles, and also drawings of the Hunchback, pen and ink drawings. And I'm not sure if they were used on the two desk or bar top games or not.
Okay.
I don't have any other imagery of that. As like, was there like a side panel? Was there a marquee? I don't have any examples of that artwork, so I really can't say how that art was used, if it was used at all. Anyway, the game didn't test well enough that they put it into production. But what I remember is Sam telling me that at one of the bars, the bar owner liked it so much he just bought it and kept it. So who knows? Maybe it's in a garage or an attic somewhere.
Who knows? I couldn't find any video of it.
Yeah.
So here's a question of. So Argus was the, I guess after that Argus, which is
Yeah.
what we're looking at, and the many names that it was previously known as. Some sort of split. Oh, I think they did something because you don't have 53 citizens to save per level. But this is some video I pulled up. So the biggest Tuck to tell me about this game. This never came out, and I kind of wonder if the blame for this game not coming out was executives were all concerned about how good one particular player was at this game, and you probably know this gentleman. It's Mike
Mike Whitaker.
Who currently works for Stern Pinball.
Yeah. So it was one of his favorite games. He lived near an arcade in Downers Grove, I believe, and he loved this game, and he played it a lot. Was disappointed when it disappeared, and then years later, when Doc Mack at the Galloping Ghost put the prototype together, Mike was thrilled, and then he set the world's record. I don't know if he currently holds it or not. I think someone might have
believe he still has it.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe someone broke it. He's got to get back to.
Oh, I can look that up real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike. I kind of find it unusual that one player would scare Gottlieb Mylstar executives to. Oh, it was beat. Andrew Owasco has the score at 415K. He beat it by 18,000.
Oh, okay. I'm sure Mike can best that if he can spare the time.
Back though, that's the thing.
If he can spare the time, yeah.
Oh, I imagine he could spare the time some weekend because it's Stern Pinball. It's local to the Chicago area.
But he tried. He's on the road quite a bit. So, well, whatever. That's the balls in his court. His balls in his court on that one.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll get back. So from there, this game didn't come out, and I don't know who made that call.
Well, it would have been Howie Rubin, probably. He was
okay.
He was our boss. I mean, he really wanted it to work, but they looked at earnings.
Yeah.
And if it didn't earn enough, they had to have the earnings, the collections of the quarters to convince the operators and distributors to put in orders for a game. And presumably they knew what it took because they'd been in the pinball business for decades.
Okay. So from here, what was the next game you worked on? Was it, have we gotten to QBert yet, or was there another one in front of this?
Well, I think there was a number of games being developed at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kan Yamamoto was working on the game that became Mad Planets. But he had wanted to do what became the QBert game, because I had messing around. I was fascinated with the tessellated images that MC Escher had popularized to college students back in the 60s and 70s, right? And I had, back in the 70s, I was doing drawings of those cubes and incorporating other images into them, octopuses, and I had all these planetary drawings, and I was working with the geometric shapes and so on. So when I came to Gottlieb and I had these tools, it was only a matter of time before I put together these screens with the cubes. And of course, that lent itself to a pyramid. And Kan wanted to do something with that, but he had also had some preliminary design ideas for what became Mad Planets. And so management said, no, you do that, and we'll give this to Warren. Warren took it as a programming exercise to explore gravity. We have some different memories of exactly what happened, Warren and I and other folks. But anyway, Warren took it over. And so I was doing art for that. I was doing art for Mad Planets. It was too soon for Crawl. That happened a little later.
Yeah.
Tim Skelly was working on his game, his first game for us, Reactor. I had nothing to do with that, but so that was going on. Who else was doing? Those were the main ones. Tom had been working on Argus. And I'm not sure what he did after that. I know that they had him exploring some other ideas. We were owned by Columbia Pictures.
Wow.
And that's why we did the Kroll game, because they had that movie coming out. And but there was a time they flew Tom and I to New York to screen a movie called A Blue Thunder.
Okay.
So there was a Roy Scheider, I think, was in that. And I don't remember too much about the movie. It was, a thriller, dealing with helicopters, flying around Manhattan or whatever. We wrote up a proposal, and it withered on the vine.
Yeah, this
around
right here.
Yeah, that's it. So around that time, then, that QBert was underway and Mad Planets was underway. They had hired Matt Householder and Chris Krubel, the guys who did Krull. But they also moved the entire operation from Bensonville there. So that Gottlieb had an excess capacity manufacturing plant in Bensonville in a industrial park. And they decided to move our department then to the main plant in North Lake. And that's where I remember most of the stuff happening with Kroll. And they hired a number of other programmers at this point. There was Joe Ulowitz, who had done, what was the game with the snake? Nibbler. He had done Nibbler. They had a couple other guys, John Coyle, Steve Pacheco. They were all coming up with their own ideas. That was their plan.
Mhm.
I should mention Fred Darmstadt. I think he started working on a game that's called Arena. It also had several names. There's one at the Galloping Ghost, a prototype.
Yes.
It was never manufactured as such. I think so. That one started in Pennsylvania. Anyway, their idea was you're a programmer and now you are a game designer. So come up with a game. That's what programmers were expected to do. And in some cases, like with Matt and Chris, they were assigned to do this troll game. But otherwise, most of the people had free reign to do whatever they wanted.
So I'll touch on QBert. Oh,
okay.
Yes, this is probably the most famous game character that you've been involved in designing.
Absolutely.
So I won't go through the creation because that story's been told a lot of times. But the story that doesn't get told very often, or at least not until recently, QBert's cubes, and then the discovery of a second orientation of the game board, which is basically used in the console versions, because this consoles you're playing off a TV, but arcade monitor is in portrait mode, not landscape mode.
Right. Yeah, that was a real surprise to me. So that game was programmed by Neil Bernstein. Again, another young programmer. I don't know that he had done games in the past. Warren did not want to do a sequel to QBert. He wanted to try out some other ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So Neil took on this game and he came up with this gameplay, this tic-tac-toe thing. It's really kind of a cool game. Not very well known, but it's a challenging game. It makes perfect sense that you would do a tic-tac-toe thing. It's pretty cool. And for me, it was fun coming up with some wacky characters again. I'm not sure if they used David Thiel's sounds again, of course. And I'm not sure David might have left at that point already. So there's probably a few additional sounds. And I'm not sure who would have done that. Might have been Dave Zabriskie, or it might have been Greg Beerwaltz, who did most of the pinball sounds back in those days. Yes, but then over at the Galloping Ghost one day, Doc unveils the horizontal QBert's cubes, and no one remembers this.
No.
Neil has no recollection of it. I had never seen it, or at least I didn't remember it.
Right.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, just a curious thing. It's one of a number of curious oddities that Doc has turned up.
Technically, the landscape cubes could be considered faster, harder, more challenging cubes, because I recall the levels being a bit harder, and then the counterparts to Ugg and Wrong Way were hopping on the diamond in that version, but not in the portrait mode version.
Wait a minute, you're talking about QBert's cubes? Because Ugg and Wrong Way are not in this game. They're not in this.
No, but they're counterparts.
They're counterparts.
Yes. What
in this game they only drop from above. You don't have the
right. But the horizontal version,
the other dimensions.
They had enemies hopping the sides of the cube instead of on top of the cube.
Oh,
like Ugg and Wrong Way.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna have to go over there and play that. I don't remember that at all.
Oh, Doc It's like one of those guys hopping the sides looked like Ugg, but Doc said somebody told him it wasn't. It was a new character. But supposedly, the side hopping enemies, you have to crank the difficulty level of the game up to hard mode to get them to appear.
Okay.
Supposedly.
Well, that would leave me out because I never get that far. You know what? Let me go to my file. Let me go to my file cabinet here a minute.
Okay.
And see if I can find some drawing about that, because something is kind of ringing a bell. You know, we got these characters here, these round guys. They kind of look like frogs, but they ain't frogs.
Yeah. Kind of match the color.
Hang on a second. I'll be right back.
All right. As you can see, yes. Coily was replaced by a rat. Yeah, those green guys, if they match the color of the cube that's up, they just get absorbed by it. And if you get the turtle, I guess it's just captured for points and nothing more. Slick and Sam, or at least their counterparts, do hop on the cube and rotate the pieces. You know, let me crank this further into the game because we might see something.
Okay, that didn't take too long. I told you I'm a pack rat, so I got all these folders full of stuff.
I'll put you on full screen here.
Okay. Okay, this is really bleaching out in this light.
Oh, there he is. It looks like a bird, and the other...
One is a bird, and one is a purple guy with little ears or horns, and that's probably the character you're thinking of.
Yes. I thought it was Ugg, but it isn't.
It's not.
It's a different...
No. Yeah.
I think it was one of the cut characters from the original QBert, and then it got used for this game somehow.
There was a character like that, but this is slightly different. Here is a...
There you go.
This is a marquee rough by Larry Day, who was doing a lot of the pinball back classes at that time, but he was doing some of the video games too. You can see the characters. I think we call them Meltnicks. And the bird. That bird. What's he called? Oh, here he's got a bunch of names. I'm gonna have to do a book about this one.
Yep.
Okay. Oops.
There we go.
There
That's
they
in
are.
a grid.
Now, this is my homemade grid paper. I made my own grid paper that had the correct aspect ratio for the sprites. So they were a little elongated instead of being square. At the bottom, and you probably can't see this too good, but the light is so
the right way, it might. I see Beelzebub, Sneezelbub, Stomper.
Yeah, these are
Jane.
I loved making up names. And so I have a whole list of names for these characters. Yeah, Sneezelbub, Stomper, and then for the bird, Crow Jane, the Crow Jay, and then for the little hopping guys, Hop Along, Hop Heads, Hop Noggins, Hop Goblins, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Warren did not like making up names. So he left that often to me. So like Wrong Way and Ugg, Slick and Sam and QBert, those are all names I came up with. QBert was actually the result of a brainstorming session.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't remember exactly what names we settled on for that bird creature and for the little horned guy.
But Yeah, they were. Yeah, you could only see them in the
And there's
landscape version. Oh, let me put you back up here. There we go.
Rat-a-tat-tat. I remember that's the name we use for him.
Ah,
And he was kind of like the coily character.
yep.
Okay, here's a guy we called Shoe Bob.
Hmm.
He was the Slicker Sam equivalent. He was the little green guy
Yep.
hopping around. And Shoe Bob came from it was a catchphrase that my brother Steve had back in high school. He had all these catchphrases.
Hmm.
And one was Shoe Bob Oogum. I'm not sure. I don't even know where he got that from. Here, then, sideways is the bird. And these guys down below, they're the guys with the trampoline that QBert falls onto and he gets bounced back.
When he completes the level. Yep.
Yeah, right. And I don't remember offhand the name for those dudes, but it may be somewhere in this thick binder stuff.
All right. So. QBert has been compared to another gaming character. And I'll tell you who it is. It's from the Super Mario Brothers series, Super Mario 2 in particular, Birdo, who is a pink dinosaur but has a similar nose to QBert. I don't know if you're.
I don't know the character. No.
Not familiar. Oh, nope. Well, let me put that one up. QBert. Birdo. I'll get that back up on the screen. And I've been joined by a feline.
Oh.
Grief.
This is my. She a calico? She a calico?
Yes. Oh. And she had her 4 canines taken out recently. Let me put this back up here. This is Birdo.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's a QBert type nose. Well, QBert had that nose. My original idea was he was shooting boogers out of that nose as a weapon.
Yes.
So that's why QBert has a nose, and then he kept the nose, well, because it's kind of cute. And it was also a directional hint of which way you're facing. So.
Does
that Birdo, does Birdo shoot anything out of her nose?
Eggs.
Okay.
Yes. Let me. Here's a somebody made this graphic.
Okay. What's that thing on the left?
Pea shooter, but I don't know what that game is. What game that came from? If it came from any game. But there's Quilly up there. But yeah, but Birdo shoots eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, Plants vs. Zombies, he says. Okay.
Well, the big nose on a comic character goes way back, probably to the earliest days of comic strips. So, but in the case of QBert, it was supposed to be functional.
I just wondered how. So, if QBert was shooting at its enemies, I guess the coloring of the pyramid would be out the window. Is basically be try to eliminate all the enemies off the pyramid, right? Or were you going for all of it all together?
I wrote a very complicated game idea once we had, the pyramid, and it was obvious, well, something ought to be moving on that pyramid.
Right.
And I was, of course, thinking in the veins of 3 different planes of existence, right? And my idea was, you'd move while you're on one plane of existence, you'd be invulnerable to the other ones. You imagine how complicated that would be to play, for the player to keep track of that. So, Warren definitely had better idea of just keeping it simple like that. Plus, he did eventually have to work on gravity in 3 directions, but it would have been much worse. But originally, he took it, as I said earlier, as he has related, as a programming exercise exploring gravity. And the first thing he was doing, he had a ball dropping down from the top. Which way would it go, right or left? So with binary decisions.
Yep.
And he ran with that and then started adding things. And of course, the big breakthrough, well, he asked me then, oh, did I have a character that could be on that period? And of course I did, because I already had this write-up that, hadn't gone anywhere. It was too complicated. So he had the character jumping around, but then as Warren tells the story, one night, our boss, Ron Waxman, was looking over his shoulder and he said, oh, what if when he lands on a cube, the color changes? And at that point, boom, that was it. That locked in the game. So, QBert was truly a creative collaboration. There never was a design document.
Yeah.
It rose out of the artwork I created and Warren's experimentations. And then, he was like the guiding hand, picking what he thought would work, what he wanted to implement. He probably got a lot of ideas from me and other people. He didn't use them unless he thought it worked. And yeah, I did the art for that game. One of the
This
few
was
cartridges
console only. This did not come out in the arcade.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
I had, I think, 256 colors for this. So that was really quite a luxury.
Faster, harder, more challenging QBert. Now, who came up with the idea of QBertha, which is the later level antagonist?
Right. I'm thinking it was Chris Brewer. So Chris was, man, you talk about Skelly being someone who wore a lot of hats. Chris Brewer really probably even wore more hats than Skelly, because he could program, he could write software, he was a hardware guy, and he was a pretty good artist. And he was obsessed with QBert. He did a calendar. He did a coloring book, which is all these QBerts through history, like, all puns, right? Genghis Khan as QBert, et cetera, et cetera. And I think he actually came up with QBertha. At some point, they wanted female QBerts. And I drew up a page with a whole slew of them.
I know Saturday Supercade, the cartoon, had some female QBerts in it.
Oh, yeah.
They were not enemies.
Yeah, that was terrible. Okay, here's Chris's.
I was a fan.
Yeah, well,
I was a kid back then.
Yeah.
I was like, gamer, and let me put you to full screen.
Well, we all hated it. Anyway, this is examples of Chris Brewer's artwork of his QBert calendar. We don't have the entire year. Someone had some of the months. I didn't have any of them, but yeah. So you can see he was a pretty good artist. And I think he came up with QBertha. And then the harder, faster, more challenging QBert was kind of Warren's director's cut. So elements of that game were present in the one that went out on test, but it was proving too difficult for people. They asked him to scale it back. So the harder, faster was his version with all the bells and whistles. And then QBertha got put into it.
I've got to throw this up on the screen. Yeah, there she is. That went by really quick. But
okay.
She'll emerge right about there. She is.
Oh yeah.
Love struck, but not somebody that I want to go out on a date with.
Well, you never know.
QBert didn't seem to share the affection. Anyway,
He was maybe not emotionally mature enough to appreciate a fine woman.
all right, so take this down. So yeah, we're closing in on 90 minutes here. Let's go through the other games you were involved with. The prototypes. Well, let's go to the prototypes. Arena. That was a big production. Getting that game back
Arena,
online.
I have an affection for that game. It's fun to play. Again, I can't get too far. I get up to maybe the purple round, and oh no, now you got here Wiz Wars.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, I can find.
Now this is another game I completely forgot about. Okay, so Fred Darmstadt does the original Arena, and it goes out of test, doesn't test well. They don't manufacture it.
Right.
But I had like this wizard going around. He runs around. The wizard, that's my art. There's these monsters being generated. That's my art. But someone else did the new arenas here, and that green thing in the middle is not my art. So around this time, towards the end of Mylstar's life, Gottlieb had become Mylstar. And they hired a guy named Bill Adams from Midway, and he brought along a young guy named Jim Love, and they were responsible for that baseball game we're looking at earlier.
Yeah.
And I think those guys took Fred's code and used it as a basis, and then took my art and added more art. I had no memory of this version of the game until, in fact, I still don't. It's only having seen the game that, oh, okay, I guess this is what they did, but I didn't remember it at all. And I guess that's a prototype. I don't believe it was ever produced. There's a guy down in Georgia named Chris Walker, who supposedly has a game. He was talking to me. Oh, could you make art for it? And I want to produce it, put it in my arcade. That never happened, and I don't know what the status is with it at Galloping Ghost. I don't know if Doc has his hands on something.
Wiz War?
On Wiz Wars. Because
it is not on the arcade floor.
No, it's not on the floor.
Arena is on the floor. It's in the Gottlieb row, and this is my footage that I shot because I was wondering why they were doing Monday Mystery, and then I saw this game in the background, and they didn't do a video on it. And then we find out, well, there's a documentary series airing on the Red Bull.
Oh, right.
Channel.
Yeah. Doc says, yeah, these people want to do this thing with Arena, and where we're making the prototype. Well, to back up even a little further, at the time when the Argus prototype came out, we gathered some of our former colleagues. They all came out for the grand unveiling, and there was a young guy named Dave Bonecutter, who was like a hardware guy, young guy, like he was like college age. I think a self-taught engineer, and he came out for the show or for the unveiling. We hadn't seen him in decades, and he's had a career ever since, mostly doing gambling devices.
Yeah,
he lives in Las Vegas, and he had chips for this game, and he gave them to Doc then. And so then Doc, built the machine. It had some fixing up to do. Anyway, at the same time, this crew comes out and they're shooting a documentary for the Red Bull channel. What's it called? Game Land or something like that? There's
Screen something.
A lot of episodes, I think, of that show. So they devoted 15 minutes of it to the arcade itself, and then 15 minutes to the making of the prototype. And they had us run around. It's like we're on a schedule. Oh, we got to get this thing done in a week, which was all a bunch of BS because
there
was no need. It had been sitting for 30 years or more in Dave Bonecutter's attic in Las Vegas. I mean, it's a miracle those chips survived.
Right.
You know, can you imagine the conditions in the attic in Las Vegas for 30 years?
Vegas is out in the desert, so I imagine it's pretty dry. So moisture may not be a factor.
I was just thinking of the heat, but whatever. Anyway, so they made this documentary like it's a big deal, getting this thing done in time. All the pressure was on, and then we have the unveiling. But it was worth it just to see the game because it's a fun game. And the marquee here, I was telling you earlier about the Codolith marquees that we make for test purposes.
Yeah.
This is an example of that. I had one of them. Right. So that's
there it is.
Yeah, that's a Codolith. It's like an animation cell with tracing paper colored with like Sharpies, magic markers between plexiglass. I had one in good shape. And it turns out at the same time, I was talking to a buddy of mine, a guy I used to play war games with and D&D and all that stuff. And I had given him one back in 1981 or 82 or whenever this was, probably 82 when we did this. And he had it and he was able to find it. And it was slightly damaged, but good enough. So that's the one we used. And I did a new, I think it had the original colors on the thing. It was ready to go. We just had to put it between plexi. So that's what's in that game at the Go. So it's really kind of a unique artifact, that particular game, because it's got the original chips too.
So this game didn't get released. In fact, that originally when this game was put on the floor, I had never heard sounds come out of it, but now it is making sounds.
Yeah, I remember that. I noticed that recently when I went in there and said, hey, this has audio now. Yeah.
But from
it's so much fun. It's so much fun spinning that dial, sending that guy around, and you got, it seems like unlimited firepower. It's not, but if you, depending on where those shots hit a corner, then like another shot comes out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can just get constant stream. But once these little pyramids come out that shoot the lightning bolts, I don't think I ever get that. Like I say, I die in the purple round.
I don't know what round that is, but this game progresses further and further. These diamonds change into clouds that shoot lightning bolts if they're shot. So this was, gosh, shortly after So this video was shot when I was finally able to make my way up to Galloping Ghost, because I was like wondering what the heck is this game. I've been waiting where I could get a weekend where I could go up there, and I finally did. And then after I post the video on YouTube, I get a message saying, "Can you take this down?" It's like because the episode of Screenland had not come out yet.
Oh, really?
And so Galloping Ghost couldn't post the unveiling video until the Screenland episode came out.
Okay, well, that's fair enough.
But from there, so Arena was pretty basic. So they didn't want to throw the game away. They wanted to go back to the drawing board and let's add stuff to the game and make it more, I guess, technologically, add elements to the game to make it more complete, I guess.
Right.
So I don't know. We have this.
Mainly what I remember are all the remarks, all the smart ass remarks that are here. And I don't know who was responsible for that. Presumably Bill Adams or Jim Love.
The smart aleck remarks, you mean?
well, maybe smart aleck is not the right word, but there's references to pop culture, like rock song. Yeah, Blue Ogre Cult. That
Blue Oyster Cult.
Punk, and this guy. Now these creatures are not mine. So, but I don't remember. I don't know who did this.
And the tornado got replaced by a giant eyeball. Looks like.
Yeah, I don't know about the eyeball either. It's again not. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the. Now they did keep the stage layouts because they kind of matched up with the arena. They just added background graphics to it.
Yeah, but they did other stuff with the background sprites that were not present in the original. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like I have the marquee, but there's a game. They also have it at the Ghost, of course. What game don't they have? And it was some kind of tank game, and I found the artwork for a side panel, and was TNK something?
TNK3.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That's one anyway.
And I worked on the marquee and the side panel, but it's not all my art either. It's like, and it's a mixture of things. It's like, well, this element of the drawing is, I drew that, but these other things I didn't draw. And it was so long ago, I can't remember how it worked.
Yeah.
I know who I did the work for. It was my old boss, Howie Rubin. He went to Jalico and had another company called Kit Corp. And that game was probably licensed from Japan, some company out there. It's typically what his material was. So yeah, it's been a real trip down memory lane seeing some of this stuff.
Dwarf dudes.
But I find this also with other art that I've done over the years, commercial stuff or industrial drawings or what have you. And maybe I'm going through my flat files looking for something and I find this stuff. It's like, God, I completely forgot about this. Doing this. It's probably kind of common for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
And I think it's more telling as an artist because you got something that looks kind of unique as opposed to maybe a lot of jobs where you got paperwork and it's just a bunch of text and stuff. And you might not remember writing that stuff. But it doesn't pop out or jump out at you the way artwork does, at least for me.
Some of the other games. So we got Arena on the arcade floor. From there, another prototype got found, and it ended up in the T20 tournament. Screw Loose.
Oh, well, that's a Skelly game.
Were you involved in this one?
No, not at all. That was
okay.
So Tim was contracted to do 3 games for Gottlieb / Mylstar. The first was a Reactor, which, they made a number of them, but they didn't do as well as they had hoped. And the second game was Insector. In fact, we talked about Mike Vinegar of Stern earlier. He texted me recently, and he said, Insector was a game they came out to Downers Grove in his neighborhood to be tested, and he was trying to remember what the marquee looked like.
Whoops! Hold on, kill that. Got to mute it. Go ahead.
So he could not find any evidence of it, and I had nothing. I searched a little bit. I have practically nothing in my archives of Tim's because it wasn't my stuff. So Insector, great looking game. You know, Tim programmed it. He did the animation, the artwork. He was a very talented artist as well. And Doc says
Here it is.
he has elements of it. I think he's got the he doesn't have art cabinet art, but he's got all this stuff you're seeing here. And he needs he says he needs a cabinet, but there's no art. So
okay.
And I don't know who would have the art.
This is not to be accused or not to be confused with Insector X, which was put out by another company.
No, probably not.
It's a shoot 'em up, side scrolling, or it's a shoot 'em up. I can't remember. Oh, it's a Namco game. That's right.
But I remember Ron Waxman, you know, our VP of engineering. He was kind of a gruff guy. The guy who came up with the idea of the tiles changing colors for QBert. And they were very annoyed with Skelly at this point because, you know, his first game hadn't delivered. And he did some stuff that pissed him off in terms of, I don't know, trespassing or whatever. And he was complaining, what's with these games he's doing there? We got Reactor, we got Insector, all the games got to be named like that. So when I don't know if Skelly ever heard back by that. Obviously, the name Screw Loose it's not Screw Loosor. But that was the third one he did to fulfill his contract. And again, great graphics, very clever game. You know, he did a great job. It's unfortunate the games were big hits for us. I don't know if it would made a difference ultimately in terms of the ups and downs of the industry at that point. It probably would have maybe staved things off a little while, but you know, by when things closed in '84, you know, there was too much product in the market. So, and some of the novelty had worn off. That kind of growth couldn't be sustained.
Somebody joined our stream, and I'm not sure who this is. Vault Victor, do you know this person?
Oh, that would be Tom Malinowski.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, let's bring him in.
I think so.
What's going on? Hello, Walt.
Sorry, I have to put my name, but I was just curious.
I was wondering who that was.
So Tom, are you doing a veracity check on me here? Is what I'm saying seem accurate?
No, I saw you were going on. I did an interview with them a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, I watched.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah. So I was just curious how yours is going. So.
All right.
Yeah. So, do you remember anything about Insector?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty unique. I mean, you know, I never got to play it very much because I guess Skelly was on the outs back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember, you know, seeing the game in North Lake in our offices there, but they never manufactured it. So, but it must have gone out on test. It must have had, at that point, they weren't relying on me or the other artists to do Codolith type marquees. I think they would just go ahead and have them printed. You know, Richard Tracy had really beefed up the art department. So, you know, besides Larry and myself, there was Terry Dorzaf, who typically did the cabinet art. There's another guy, Dave Faust. There was another guy named Douglas Norgard. So we were fully staffed with artists at that point. And yeah, I'd love to see that original marquee. It'd be great if Doc gets us out on the floor to have, you know, something of the original if he could.
Yeah.
We could always make up something based on the screenshots, I suppose.
Yeah, and
Close enough.
a lot of marquees that, yeah, Gottlieb Ghost Productions have had to create their own marquees because they did not have the original or could not find an image of the original. So Sector, yeah, let's look at this one. The game that came out, the last game that got put out on the arcade floor that came from Mylstar, that was a prototype that never got released, and I tried to play it and couldn't figure out how to play it. Curveball. So and here's the thing about this. I was there at that Monday Mystery. I saw you were there. The cabinet looked like it was going to be a Gottlieb Mylstar cabinet, but I was expecting a completely different game that had never come out, which we'll get to that in a moment. But this baseball game, what do you remember about this one?
Well, I mostly remember doing the baseball players. Like I say, I shot all these Polaroids of Sam Russo.
Mm-hmm.
We went out to the factory floor. He had something approaching a baseball uniform and a bat and a mitt. And I shot all these Polaroids, which I still have. Those then I traced over them. I mean, I got tracings on paper. I have tracings on like acetate, ink. Just like this is like animation kind of stuff, cell animation kind of thing. So, ink onto acetate, and then photocopied that stuff or photostated it, which is more of a photographic process. And then just making all these copies and then reducing those images onto sprite sizes.
Right.
And that's about all I remember about the game. It was very intensive getting all the baseball players and their movement. The baseball field would have been pretty simple. Like I said, we would have 128 background sprites, 8x8 sprites to build. As you can see, this field is pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Probably a half of it is easily just solid green sprites, right? And and probably the most fun thing is the crowd, because it kind of looks like people jumping up and down in excitement, right? So that's, I think, just a bunch of colored dots, and they're mixed up kind of randomly, and then they get substituted to make it look like they're moving around like a crowd of people. So that's kind of cool effect, considering what a cheesy way it was to do it. And that's about all I remember about it. I mean, for years I've had one of the marquees framed and hanging in my my laundry room of fame with other marquees, but I hadn't seen the game, I think, until when I first became aware of this, what I call this retro gaming scene, which was over 10 years ago. Terry Minnick, Terry Trickman?
Yes.
Yes.
I have met him.
Yeah, he had come to my local library. So my wife was on the library board, and I used to do some handiwork there, and they found out about QBert. So I said, okay, well, we maybe can do an exhibit. So I hauled out like the stuff I was showing you, right? And it was up there on display for, I don't know, a few weeks or whatever. And somehow Terry Minnick heard about this. and went to see it. And then he contacted me. I'd never met him before, and I had never been into the Galloping Ghost. It was, it's about a mile or so from my house, and I had never stopped in there. And so he invited me to a party at his house.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Dan Lewson there and his partner and Patrick O'Malley and Glenn and some other gamers. And I don't know if you've ever been to Terry's house. He has a basement full, his basement,
I wish,
chock full of video games, at least at that time. And he had one of those multi-game cabinets there, and I think this baseball game was in there. And that's the first time I would have seen it in over 35 years. And also on that was the game called Tiles. In uncompleted, basically uncompleted. Maybe it's finished enough in a way.
Here it is.
Yeah, by Chris Krubel. Yeah, there's my name up there on the upper left. Yeah. So Chris was a maniac, and he was making this insane game, and my God, I wish he had finished it. Because it was a blast. I was making these insane chess pieces. You got this goofy. I've never figured out how do you play this game. I don't know.
To me, it kind of seems like a marriage between QBert and Robotron. And they had a kid.
Yeah, here's the instructions. It doesn't have its own sounds. It just uses, I think, some of Dave Thiel's song.
It uses QBert sound effects.
Yeah.
Because I'll turn this sound back on and you can hear it.
I know. It's really obnoxious.
It's all QBert, all lifted off of QBert.
Yeah. But so that was 1984 when the company closed down, so we didn't really finish it. It would have been nice to see that through to a completion with its own audio and hopefully a way to make sense of what's going on with the gameplay.
So this is level 1, so you probably get the basics off of this.
Right.
So this was the game that I thought was under the tarp. But you never know with Doc.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is another game where, I told you how I like making up names for the characters. And we had I have a documented brainstorming session with me and Chris and Chris Krubel and I think Chris Brewer, possibly. And Chris was a very quiet, restrained, spiritual person. He was born again Christian, kind of a pious guy. And Chris was a pagan and like a degenerate. So the contrast between these two guys couldn't have been greater. And we have a list of names for these characters, a list of the name for the games and the characters. And Chris Krubel's names are just so filthy. They can't, they're not fit for prime time.
Right.
But that's the way it was, But you can't have a brainstorming session without throwing everything out there against the wall and seeing what sticks, right?
Well, every game also has to have its little charm, and I guess if they had to come up with something wacky to make it memorable, so be it.
Yeah. But this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed creating the art for this, and it would have been nice to take it a little further.
How complete do you think this is? 90, 95? Saying it's playable?
I don't know. I would have to sit down and play it.
Okay. I don't know if Doc has this in the vaults. I'd have to assume maybe he does, but then again,
because I'm confused. There's so many characters running around here, and the jester is walking through a lot of them. You think he ought to be being killed by them, and sometimes he is. And then there's that vertical tile moving across, and like, what the heck is that doing? It's not
Yeah,
clear
and
to
I
me.
don't know if some sort of cheat got used on this because this
Yeah.
is.
And unfortunately, Chris died some years ago, so we'll never know what he had. Yeah.
Unless somebody else comes forward that says, "Oh, I worked on this game."
No, it was just him, I think. And like I say,
Okay.
we often did not have design documents. I mean, there were in some cases. For instance, late in Mylstar's existence, they hired Dennis Nordman,
Mhm.
esteemed pinball producer, still active, I think, and John Newcomer, who most famous for Joust, and I think he might still be active. I mean, he had a long career.
Yeah.
And those guys would write up detailed plans. I think Newcomer was kind of frustrated because he was not a programmer.
Mhm.
He was a designer, and he comes to our operation, and there the programmers were king.
Mhm.
They were the ones who decided typically what games they're going to work on. Now that culture might have changed with people like Bill Adams around,
Right.
because he was more of a. I mean, I think he had some programming chops, but he was, as I recollected, more of a manager, and he probably would have been corralling programmers to, okay, you do this game that Newcomer here designed, you take it away. But that didn't really happen before things closed down.
Yeah. All right. So eventually, Mylstar, Gottlieb, like most video game companies, got taken out by the crash of '94, or not '94,
No, 84.
84. Yes, I
Yeah.
knew that. Trying to
Okay.
keep my tongue untied here. Gottlieb, of course, was very well known for making pinball machines. I know there was a QBert's Quest pinball. Were you involved in that one?
No.
Nope. All right. Was there any pinballs besides Caveman you were involved in?
Only peripheral. I can't even say the word on the periphery.
Peripheral.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peripherally. There was a game called Striker. It was a soccer game. And I think they were shorthanded at some point for a deadline. I remember doing a little bit of production work on the playfield.
Oh, okay.
But even better than that, there's a game called El Dorado City of Gold. And the back glass is painted by Larry Day, who I got to be very friendly with. In fact, I just talked to him last week. Very extremely talented artist. And he had me and this woman, what's her name? Jerry Knighton. She was like an accountant in the office, He had us pose as the characters. It was kind of an Indiana Jones looking theme. So I'm wearing like a slouch hat and holding a machete, and she's got a pith helmet on, and there we are in this like a Mayan or Aztec ruin, a big pile of gold around us and idols and snakes and all that kind of stuff. So my only involvement was to pose for the picture, but I have the original painting of that, which is very cool. And then I have one of the back glasses. It has all the lettering and cutouts and stuff in it. So yeah, that's kind of my pride and joy.
So after the video game crash of '84, how did your career progress? What did you do?
Well, at
Mylstar?
that time I had gotten married, and my lovely wife Ann, who's thankfully still with me, and we started having kids. So I was freelancing again, doing production work. in the audiovisual field. In fact, Larry Day and I mentioned my friend Mike Glascott, we'd be going in the city, working in these studios. And there was some people I knew from the industry or that had been in the industry. There was, David Thiel, who was, a great audio guy. He had a partnership with the people who formed Incredible Technology, the Dittons, Richard and Elaine Ditton. And they were continuing to make video games.
Yeah.
They did them as they did cartridges. And as things went well for them, even in that changed marketplace, they were doing some arcade stuff. Of course, they've done Golden Tee, which was huge for them. I think they did that deer hunting game too.
Buck Hunter.
Yeah, right.
Probably.
Right. Yeah. And so I did one game. Actually, I saw it at the Galloping Ghost one day. It was a game I don't think it was ever produced. And how Doc came up with it is a very convoluted story. But so I was doing that kind of stuff. I was doing work for my old boss, Howie Rubin. He had went to Jalico. He had his own company. He was doing redemption games. In fact, I worked on a couple with Warren and some other people. The games that would go into like Chuck E. Cheese's and places like that. There was another group of guys, that game Gorf.
Yes.
Gorf spelled backwards is frog.
Yeah.
And the programmer, Jay Fenton, he had kind of buggy eyes, and that was his nickname was Frog, but he did Gorf. So there was him and two other guys had worked at Midway. Artist named Mark Pierce, who I don't really remember him very well. But the main guy was a guy named Mark Cantor, and he was like an audio dude. He had studied music. He was like an opera singer and studied music at Oberlin College. And it's around the time when the Macintosh came out.
Right.
So Mark Aaron Cantor, his initials were Mac. So he took to that. It was like a perfect marriage. And they were developing some products, which eventually one of them got kind of big. It was called VideoWorks. Became Macromind, Macromedia, or something like that. But at that time, they were in the city. And so I would do freelance work for them, did some Maze War games and icons and stuff for the Mac, and little production works on, the second or third editions of the VideoWorks product. And I would do storyboards and stuff like that. So did a few cartridge games, the QBert 3 and this and that, and Home Alone and other stuff. It's kind of dried up. It's my kids. I was kind of a stay-at-home dad. I'd be freelancing, and I had three little kids. And so I worked where I could, and, juggling the kids and some freelance work. But eventually, I think some of the last stuff I ever did was, again, a project with Warren, a game called Exterminator. You've probably seen it.
Yeah.
So, the pinball division of Gottlieb, or Gottlieb Mylstar, survived. Gil Pollock got some he was like head of pinball there. He got some investors, and they took over the Bensonville plant. And I don't know how long they were making pins. They did it for a number of years. Larry Day worked there. David Moore worked there. And a lot of the pinball guys, some guys who are now been at Stern for years.
Yeah.
And we did this Exterminator game, and it was a big bust for him, although it got some good reviews.
This was a T20 game.
Yeah.
I play it.
Yeah. So that's my kitchen. Elements of my kitchen in Oak Park when I was freelancing. This is one of the first games where I had a camera. I could record video. So that little cockroach or whatever walking by, I shot video of these bugs. and we made models. Yeah. Well, these things I think I made from scratch, but there's another one that I still have the model. Some of the models got kind of ruined over the years, but I still have some of these artifacts. And when I saw this game, after like 35, 40 years, it blew my mind because there's elements of my house that I had left years ago, so it's like, wow, there's my house or parts of my house. And there's like a scene in a basement. That's Warren's basement and my mom's garage and all that. Yeah, I got to build little tank models and then we shot video of that stuff. So yeah, that was a fun project.
Yeah, that's a bedroom. I don't know whose bedroom.
That's a made up bedroom actually, but some of those posters are from back classes I had.
Okay.
They're kind of hard to make out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like a rock band on the right.
Oh, that might be punk.
Oh, the one on the left looks like Bone Busters. Kind of.
Okay.
The logo anyway on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Which is a pinball machine and somebody's takeoff on Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Well, those maybe what that is are premier pinballs. That would make sense. They probably maybe they wanted that included. Yeah. Yeah, I had a graphic board. Okay, this is my mom's garage. And at one point, this was the last building I still had access to when I had seen this game in, because that house still existed. And then a few years later, or soon after, they sold it and it was all torn down. So, yep.
What?
I used to put garbage in that garbage can there.
Wow. What was the game that Doc came up with or found that was incredible technologies, but it was not released? Was it Bandit?
Yeah, I think Bandit was the one. Yeah. I was walking down the aisle there and I see this marquee and there's this thuggish looking guy on it. I said, wait a minute. That looks like my art.
And it was
sure enough. That was I mentioned my friend Glasscott. This is his attic when he lived in Berwyn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guy who did the Juno first artwork.
But Bandit supposedly got licensed out to Data East. But if you somehow manage to beat the game, the ending, the truck that emerges, the semi, has the words "incredible technology" on the door.
Okay.
So that's how you tell that IT had developed the game.
Right. I'm trying to think. The guy who programmed that was Dave. Let's see.
You know what? I'm gonna leave this up
I forget
for
his
one
last
more
name.
round.
I forget his last name, but yeah.
Oh, here we're going to the basement.
That's Warren's basement in the city. He lived a few doors down from a very old friend of mine from college. That's how I met my wife, because they were roommates. And so Mary had moved to this neighborhood on Newport City, and it turns out Warren lived about 6 houses down at that point. Yeah.
I don't know if there's more houses. Well, I guess it's going to advance to the next house.
Well, there's one with a bedroom, my kid's bedroom. And there's white walls. There's like a radiator that's colored like rainbow hues. And I had painted that radiator those colors back then.
Here's another house.
Yeah, what is this house now?
Somebody's living room with a fireplace and a front door and a couch. The bedroom looks the same. The attic looks the same.
I'm not sure what this one was. What I would do is
Here's another room. This is a bathroom.
Bathroom, yeah.
Dingy yellow, like the back rooms.
I know. This might have been at my mom's. I don't know. But again, I would shoot a picture of a wall straight on, and then I'd just do a perspective, squeezing things, so it wasn't actually what the rooms looked like, but they were.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the bedroom. So there's the multicolored radiator on the left, and you see that the crib. There's the crib my kids were in, and there was a chest of drawers with a rainbow thing.
Yeah.
And you can't see it, but that chest of drawers is right behind me in this closet here.
Oh, okay.
Still have that piece of furniture.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like I said, this is a walk down memory lane for me. And I have the models of those houses still. Those are just like houses for a train setup or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, pretty cool.
Any current projects you're involved in?
I am. Well, I've had all sorts of game ideas, but it's kind of tough to get them accomplished when you don't have money to pay anyone. So, Tom was working on some stuff for me, but we've had our ups and downs. Things haven't worked out so well. I don't know whether they'll come to completion or not.
I seem to recall you were showing off a game at Midwest Gaming Classic years back.
Yeah, there was a thing with some asteroids. That one was kind of far along, but I keep changing it, and not quite satisfied with where it's at. So that's in limbo. I made a New Year's resolution to finish up 5 projects that have been dragging on for years. And so one of those 5 is a game that this young fella named Spencer Caswell has been doing. And we've been at it for 6 years. Again, he's not getting paid. He's doing it in his spare time. But he loves 70s and 80s technology. So he's been working on this game, and we're riffing off QBert. I say riffing. We're not ripping off QBert. We're riffing off of it in terms of some of the elements.
RIFF.
RIFF. Yeah. F like Frank, like Frankfurter. And so this has gone on long enough, and I know he wants to finish it, and I would like to finish it because that's my New Year's resolution. So I think come hell or high water, we'll get it finished. So, and hopefully we'll have it at MGC in a cabinet. So I'm really putting in some effort to get that artwork done. And
2 months.
I know it's going to be close. It probably won't have everything I would like in it, but it will have all the basics, and hopefully it'll be fun to play. And it certainly will be a challenge. It's a puzzle game, and cute characters. You control cute characters. There's other characters come out, and they kind of are nasty. Some of them, the way that Wrong Way and Ugg are nasty and coily. They're nasty in a different way, and then there's other characters come out that ruin your work, like Slick and Sam do. But anyway, come out in April up to Milwaukee, and hopefully we'll have it in a cabinet, and you give it a try, Stephen. It'd be an honor to have you try it out and give us some feedback on it.
So I've got a streak going. This gotta point this way because I'm looking. This will be 21 or 22, or at least a streak I've got going for Midwest Gaming. Yeah, 21, 22 in a row. So the streak will continue. I'm going back again as usual. This is the fastest 48 hours of the year. Ugh. Yeah, and my focus is kind of shifted at these conventions as like I'm going after the classic video game tournaments a little bit more, but last couple of years, it's like I haven't gotten to do everything I want to do at the Game Con. It's like I'm missing some stuff. And however, this year, I'm not going to put myself back at full screen here. I got this little thing. So I'm going to it's a 360 camera. I'm going to walk around the whole convention and shoot in 360 so I can actually see everything.
Okay.
Even if I can't see it all in one go, I can go back and watch the walkthrough and try to spot things I missed.
Okay. Well, make a point of, assuming we have the cabinet there, spotting that and taking a few minutes to try out the game.
Yes, I will be sure to do that.
And you can hand off your wand to me or Spencer, and we can record you in action.
All right. Any other upcoming game cons that you'll be appearing at during the year?
Well, I had been hoping to go to the Video Game Summit because that's a nice local one for me. But I think it's
July or August.
Yeah, it's going to clash, I think, with some travel plans. Doc mentioned some event coming up in the end of August that will be local. And like an indie developer thing. I forget what it's called. So
yeah, I kind of have an idea on what it is. So I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And there's, of course, the Pinball Expo. I don't know whether I'll be there or not. You know, it kind of depends whether they invite me. I generally don't go somewhere unless I've been invited. So, so we'll see. They've been very generous in past years, having me out there and giving me a table and a chance to meet people and sell my wares. So that's great. But, you know, it is a pinball event, and my pinball resume is pretty thin. So,
is there any lost game that you're on the hunt for that you'd like to see reappear? Because you've had a few of them come back to life that have been lost to history and then got resurrected.
Oh, you mean a game of mine?
Maybe a game of yours or the company that you worked for.
Whew. Well, there was a game, actually, it was never complete.
Yeah.
But I always thought it would have been a fun game. So after we did Exterminator, Warren and I, initially they, you know, it didn't perform their expectations, but they still wanted to do something again. But Warren had a disagreement with the management there.
Mm-hmm.
And they, you know, kind of pushed him out. And they brought in a young man who was a budding programmer, but I don't think he really had the chops at that time. But him and I started working on a horseshoe game. And that
Cat's tugging my cord right now. And he's trying to rip. Oh my goodness. Idiot. That gun ripped the headphones out of the socket.
Okay. All right.
Idiot.
So
that's
anyway,
the other one.
Yeah. So started working on this horseshoe game, and I found a guy who lived in Oak Park, where I lived at the time. He was like Illinois state champion horseshoe tosser, older gentleman. His name was Abe Austin. And so I went over and I shot video of this guy. I went around to various horseshoe pits and shot video and started making all the elements of the game, but it never came to pass. It never, I don't know if, you know, the young man was just unable or I can't remember exactly what happened, but the game never got made, but I always thought that would have been a cool game. Horseshoes. I was imagining a trackball control, and I had like all the art worked out where you're aiming the shoe, and then there was like a side view because you could see how far back your arm was going, and then you would release it. And beyond doing regular horseshoes, though, I thought we could do some crazy stuff, like you're playing horseshoes on the moon with moon gravity, and horseshoes in hell, and all this stuff. So that would have been an awesome game. So
I know there's been a couple that were released horseshoe games. Gosh, I can't share the screen now. Taito put out a game called American Horseshoes. There's an Atari Games game called Shoes with SHUZ, I guess.
Okay.
Shoes. And these did play with trackballs. So I don't know if this is what
and these
had
are
in mind.
Are these arcade pieces?
This is an arcade game, yes. This was an arcade release. And Shoes was another one, and it was in my college dorm.
Wow. So when did these come out?
1990 for this one.
Oh, okay. So I guess they kind of anticipated, because I think we would have been working on this after that. So I guess it had been done.
Yep.
But so what? I mean, how many racing games are there out there, right? So
there's only 2 horseshoe throwing games I know of.
Yeah, I know. We could use the third one with the fantasy horseshoes. I think it would have been awesome.
Actually, I think guess the maker of Golden Tee put out some sort of horseshoe game. Except they called it Bag Toss.
Ah, okay. Yep. But the same mechanics, and probably that programming could have carried over and been adapted to some horseshoe, the physics, So cool.
All right.
Yeah. So that's what comes to mind. There's other games I would have liked to done, but getting people to do it without paying them, it's tough.
Yeah.
And it's a different market out there too. So
yeah. All right, Jeff. I want to thank you for coming into the Crimeycade podcast tonight and spending a couple hours with me. And
Stephen, it was a pleasure. Nice talking to you. Thanks for having me.
Tom's still in the green room. I don't know if he wants to. I guess he has his mic off. Does he want to say anything? Oh, he just muted himself. All right, Tom. Okay. Thank you. In the background,
take care, Tom.
He popped in.
Okay. Nice to see you. And thanks for everyone who was listening. Tell me, is this available to be streamed at any time?
You can watch a replay on the Facebook page. Twitch will have it up for a couple of weeks, and then I get this migrated over to YouTube because I want to maximize the number of views on.
Okay.
At least Twitch, anyway.
Right.
Because I don't get any ad revenue from YouTube. It's corrupt. It's rigged. Anyway.
Okay, but it's out there. So someone, in case if someone says, "Oh, I would like to see that," I can say, "Well, here's where you go." Send me the link.
Facebook.com/Crimeycade. It'll be instant for replay.
Okay, awesome.
All right, Jeff. You got a social media or web pages you want to plug?
I'm terrible about that. There is a page, but. Let's see.
Like jefflee.com or something?
No, it's here we go. My son has no, I don't want to leave here. No. Yeah, hold on.
Oh, I think I know what it is. It's
jeffreyplee.com. So JEFFREYPLEE.com. But yeah, this needs to be updated. So, because I've got some new books out. So I'm a terrible business person. And that looks right. Yeah, that'll do it. So just real briefly. So we got the Secret Archives of QBert. We got the Secret Archives of Caveman. Well, there's this. There's a few copies of this coloring book. sprites. There's Secret Archives of Argus. This is the first one I did.
Yep.
Me and Tom.
I believe it's available at Galloping Ghost Arcade at the
Yeah,
counter.
at the arcade too. And then a couple years ago, did this with Matt Householder. Secret Archives of Kroll.
You'll have that at Midwest Gaming, correct?
Yes, I probably had it there.
Well, you'll have it this time around.
Oh,
too.
yeah. And I think possibly the last one I'll do would be Mad Planets, because I have a lot of material for that.
All right.
That's a game I actually had a design document by Khan. I've got an interview with Khan, so I can transcribe some of that. And we got some other memorabilia, and I have a bunch of drawings on grid paper. So I would like to get that to kind of wrap up the series, because I'm trying to wrap up things here in life. So, and that's in the back of my mind to get that done.
There's the guilty party right behind me. If you see him in the corner, that's the one who decided to lay across the court and rip it out of the doggone computer.
Okay.
That's
All right.
Cody.
Okay. Well,
He bites.
all is forgiven, Cody, on my end. So.
Well, he caused me to miss the Pinball Expo last year because he
really?
took a bite out of me while I was sleeping, and he had to go to urgent care, and then I had to put him in quarantine for 10 days, which ran smack dab in the middle of the Pinball Expo, and I had to take him to the vet after 10 days because that was state law.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it stinks. But
I'm glad you followed the law, though. So
yes. All right. Yeah.
All right. A shout out to Jolt.
All right.
Jolt, if you're at MGC, who knows? Maybe I'll get Mad Planets together by then. So.
All right, Jeff.
Okay.
I hope to see you around the arcade soon. I saw you at the arcade a couple of weeks ago. Maybe I'll see you around again, or
Yeah,
at least I will see you in Milwaukee.
We can try to figure out some baseball.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Jeff.
All right.
Have
care.
a good night.
Hey, good night, everyone.
All right. Jeff Lee, legendary arcade graphics designer. Glad to have him on the Crimeycade tonight. Couple things I will share before we get out of here. Obviously, the convention schedule. Yeah. You will be at Midwest Gaming Classic. There's other cons going on. Come on Retro in Columbia, Missouri the week before, and I don't think I'm going to be there for that. Now I'm going the wrong direction. Anyway, St. Joseph Civic Arena, the St. Joseph RetroCon on June 2nd and 3rd. I plugged the stuff. Oh, here's next week's guest. Jeez, I'm flipping these out of order. Let me go back to this. I need to go back over here because, oops. Yes, March 21st, Paul Niemeyer heading to the Augusta Video Gaming Expo. We had David Bryant on to talk about his convention. We had Miguel Ventura to talk about Retrofest in Texas at River Oaks, Texas, also on the 21st of that day. C2E2 in Chicago, March 27th through the 29th. Galloping Ghost is going to have a huge presence there this year. Louisville Arcade Expo, the same weekend, the 27th through the 29th. Yeah, I'd like to go to this, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, this year. And next week, on the Crimeycade, the documentarians, Justin Tolliver, and the ring announcer for Pro Wrestling Epic, which I'm going to be heading there this weekend in Salem, Illinois. They have a show in Salem. I don't remember the name of the venue. I think it's the Salem Community Center is where it's going to be happening. So I'm going to be driving down there Saturday morning because I'm still caring for Angel, who had her canines removed, and she's having to relearn how to eat without them, and she's not wanting to take her meds. But these two gentlemen will be on the pod next week to talk about the documentary For Your Amusement, which is another documentary a new documentary that has come out. I have not been able to see this yet. I'm going to have to get a copy from somewhere. Maybe Googs has some copies of this documentary that I could buy one off of him. But anyway, that will be next Thursday on the 26th. Now, I'm going to announce my first guest for the month of March. I had mentioned I've been having a bit of a hard time trying to figure out guests for the month of March. It's like I hit a wall. And my guest for the March the 5th will be the owner of Arcadia, America's Playable Arcade Museum, which is in McLean, Illinois. He has agreed to come on the podcast. He is soon to be opening a major expansion to the Arcadia pretty soon. I don't know when it's going to be open, but it's getting close. In fact, let me see if I can pull up a graphic of this, because I want you to see this. Jeez, I gotta find the graphic now. Oh, it's there. I found it. All right, share. Let me hide this. Present. Present screen. Share screen. I want you to see this place. This is going to be opening pretty soon. Arcadia Unlimited. So another building is going to be opened up. And this is going to be the all-day pass model. So I'm excited for this. Probably get an update. Or maybe it'll be open by it. I don't know. It's close to opening. I just don't know when it's going to be open, but it's going to be awesome when it does open. But anyway, that's next week. And hope you can join us for that. So I'm still looking for guests. I'm going to try to lock down some more and fill the schedule for the month of March. Easy for me to say. The month of March. Anyway, that'll do it for the Crimeycade this week. I am going to raid a channel. So who am I going to raid? So who's streaming tonight? Now, I've been doing this self-raid thing, and I could not be streaming, but I could go by myself and raid a channel at random. So, alright, I got a few different people, although, you know, these self-raids, I do want to kind of spread the wealth. Yeah, I'm not gonna. There we go. Alright, I'm going to raid Sky Blitz. I don't know. It's been going almost 5 hours. Not raided her before, but we'll go ahead and give her the raid tonight. Until next time, I am the Conservative Cloud Hunter. Hope to see you around the arcade soon, and I'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.